And you talked about getting feedback from people. So a lot of people in the NHS would be used to doing an annual survey. So the NHS does a staff survey every year and publishes the results. So is that enough? If they do that, can they tick that box on getting feedback?
That's it. I like your question. So yeah, very often when an organisation first reaches out to us, and it's usually myself or one of my team that have those initial conversations, we have a series of questions that we run through. One of them is, what channels do you have in place for your people to give feedback? And very often the answer is, yeah, we've got feedback covered. We do an annual survey. Now, for me, an annual survey potentially does have a place as a benchmarking tool. So, if you're going to ask similar questions to your people each year, you can measure improvements or not based on how they've answered questions from the year before. So it can be an effective benchmarking tool. However, it's certainly not a feedback mechanism. For me, we look at working with an organisation to facilitate an environment of continuous listening. How can we provide lots of different channels for people to have a voice and give feedback, and particularly when they're not in feedback mode, so when they're not completing a survey. And there's lots of ways with modern technology, to measure sentiment analysis, likes, comments, shares, ideation. So you can capture feedback every day, but in a way that isn't so obvious, so people open up and give really honest feedback. And organisations that do engagement really well take that feedback, make the changes required to improve the organisation, and continue to feed back to their people in regards to the changes that have been made to keep them on that journey.
Yeah, I really like that about giving people a voice. It is important for people to feel that they're heard, isn't it? And that someone's listening to what they're actually saying. And then I like the idea of tying it in with action. Like if you can take action, again, in the past, sometimes in the organizations I've worked for, staff would say, these are things that we're finding difficult. And then we create a committee to try and fix it. And then just something would go a bit awry with the committee and something else would happen, and then things wouldn't get done. So that action is really important as well. And I guess if people are feeling engaged, you can update them on the action that you're taking, and then they're more willing to give feedback, and it sort of carries on like that, doesn't it?
And this is where I am passionate about technology, because often organisations have the best intentions, but it can be quite labour intensive to run initiatives such as feedback, as an example, and to capture that feedback and then distribute the results and change can be very time consuming and difficult to do. And that is where technology has a real strong part to play, because you can system enable a lot of this stuff to automate reporting, automate feedback to employees. So you can take a lot of that manual, laborious mechanisms away, to make it happen a lot more easily and quicker, and free up time for people in your HR team, and as an example, to be spending time effectively elsewhere as well.
And then at the moment, across the NHS in particular, people are really stressed. As I said, they're under a lot of pressure. So is this something that they should put in the list of things to do when everything calms down and they've dealt with COVID? Or, do you think now is the time to do some of this work and engagement? I mean, realistically, do you think people could create the headspace to do it? How much work is it to implement an engagement strategy?
I think it's fair to say, Catherine, that last year, without doubt, there was a high level of clients that we onboarded that were in a very stressful situation, with lots of employees suddenly working remotely overnight, who were maxed out, really busy, and that they were stressed, and there was a need to very quickly deploy a solution to get some quick wins. So to be able to effectively communicate with people, enable employees to effectively communicate with each other so they can interact with their colleagues more effectively, provide easy access to health and well-being support, health and well-being information, and to make them feel recognised for the great work they've been doing. So, we had lots of deployments from an Engage perspective last year very quickly. I mentioned one before, to 10,000 users in 8 days. So last year was very much about, quick deployments to relieve the pressure, open up that engagement, and open up that communication right through the organisation to get through these times. That's always been a little bit like that. Going back to what you said earlier about the self-paced journey, what's really important now is that we work with these organisations, hopefully as we move into more positive times this year, to take that really good start, then build out the engagement strategy, and then move on that self-paced journey to really achieve really successful engagement right across the organisation, ongoing, not just as a short-term strategy to get some quick wins and to pick some broken elements of the organisation.
Sounds great. So is there anything else that we should talk about now? I think we're going to have a few more sessions, aren't we? And if people have ideas of aspects of engagement that they'd like to ask us about, then obviously just get in touch with me. And it'd be good, John, perhaps if we could continue this conversation again another time, because I feel at the moment like everyone feels that they want to do something to help with the situation that we find ourselves in. And I love this. It's a really practical example of, good leadership, how good leadership, the human side to working in a large organization and tech can all come together to make things better for people.
Yeah. And I think, it's, I just love talking about engagement, listening to how organizations are engaging today, what strategies do they have, and lots of the information that I've built up and experience I've built up over the years is literally by listening to some of our great clients, seeing what they're doing well, seeing where they may be challenged, and just learning together. So if anybody, I'd love people to share any of their ideas around how they engage with their people. Share those with you, Catherine, and all continue to share and learn from each other. There's no silver bullet. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, just trying different things.
Is it exactly?
Great. Thanks so much.